Have you ever compared the taste of a summer garden tomato, sweet, juicy, and delicious, with the taste of a tomato you buy in the produce section of the grocery store in the wintertime? Bland. Tomatoland, How Modern Industrial Agriculture is Destroying Our Most Alluring Fruit by Barry Estabrook. This book explains how tomatoes are grown, the origin of the tomato, and how we can grow them for the future. Tomatoes grow best in hot, dry areas. Therefore, California grows all the canning tomatoes and they are harvested by machines. But the tomatoes that you buy in the produce section in the wintertime come from Florida. It's hot, but it's humid, and the sandy soil has no nutrients, so hundreds of herbicides, pesticides, and fertilizers have to be used. Florida has strict regulations about the tomatoes that are exported from the state. They have to have a certain appearance, the proper size, color, and shape. Notice I didn't say anything about taste or nutrition. Estabrook explains about the farm structure down in Florida. You have the owners, the crew leaders, and the workers. Workers are needed because these tomatoes are picked by hand, even though they are hard and green. The owners will tell the crew leaders to look for workers who are uneducated and don't know much English. They've told them to go along the borders to look for migrants. Why don't they want them to know English? Unfortunately, it's so that they can take advantage of them. They underpay them, they overcharge them for food and supplies, they set them up in substandard housing, sometimes the back of a truck with no ventilation. If these workers are sick or they think they're working too slowly, they will whip them. Sometimes they've killed them. Or they may get sprayed with pesticides. Estabrook mentions the Immokalee workers in his book. And this is an incident where female workers were sprayed with pesticides. They were pregnant. They gave birth to babies who had no arms or legs. They ended up getting help, and they won the court case. But it was the crew leaders who paid the fines or spent time in jail. The owners got away scot-free. By law, the owners are responsible for workers getting paid a fair wage. But laws are only good if they are enforced. Let's move on to the origin of the tomato. The Solanum pimpinellifolium is a very small fruit that grows in the northwest of Peru. Now in 2011, they were having a very difficult time trying to find the wild fruit due to habitat loss and development. Why is it important to have wild fruit? We could grow them in the greenhouse. It is the wild plants that develop a tolerance for extreme weather, develop different flavors. They're more robust, disease-resistant, and they have more nutrition, more ascorbic acid, antioxidants, lycopene, and beta-carotene. Tomatoes growing in a greenhouse have the right amount of water, no pests, no competition. They are weaker plants. And if they do not receive stronger genes from wild plants, they will become weaker and weaker over the generations. That's why it's important to preserve areas for wild plants to grow. Estabrook also shares examples of farms where workers get treated kindly. One of them is Eckerton Hill Farm in Pennsylvania. They grow 200 varieties of heirloom tomatoes without pesticides, deliver them locally, and their workers get paid a fair wage. This allows them to live in decent housing. In my opinion, you have happier plants, happier workers, happier customers, and happier owners who are still making a profit. So it can be done. So the next time you're in a grocery store and you're going to buy a tomato, ask yourself, how was it grown? Where did it come from? Tomatoland by Barry Estabrook. Thanks for watching. Keep reading and have a great week.